The stars looked different when death sailed between them. Admiral Kethavar pressed his crystalline hand against the cold viewing port of his flagship. His fleet of 200 ships moved through space like floating diamonds, each one large, enough to hold a small city. The Zephyrian Collective had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years, and in all that time, no world had ever said no to them. Until now. The blue planet called Earth hung in the darkness ahead like a marble dropped in black water. Such a small world. Such a weak world. The humans who lived there still used metal ships and chemical fuel. They had barely learned to leave their own star system. Yet somehow, these primitive creatures had refused to surrender. Kethavar's second-in-command, Commander Veltar, floated beside him. Like all Zephyrians, his body was made of living crystal that shifted colors with his emotions. Right now, those colors showed confusion. "The humans sent another message, Admiral," Veltar said. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "They still refuse to kneel before the collective." Kethavar turned away from the viewing port. Behind him, the bridge of his ship stretched out like a cathedral made of gems. Hundreds of his officers worked at stations carved from single pieces of crystal. Each station glowed with soft light that showed star maps, weapon systems, and the locations of conquered worlds. "What did they say this time?" Kethavar asked. Veltar's crystals turned a darker shade of blue. "The same thing they said before. We are sending our response." The Admiral felt anger rise in his chest. His own crystal body began to glow with red light. In 3 months, his fleet had conquered 12 star systems. Entire civilizations had fallen to their knees when they saw the Zephyrian ships arrive. The bird-like Altarians had surrendered in 1 day. The peaceful Centauri had given up without firing a single shot. Even the proud warrior race of Sigma Draconis had lasted only 2 weeks before their leaders came crawling to beg for mercy. But not the humans. These soft, weak creatures from a nothing world kept saying no. Kethavar walked to his command throne, a massive chair carved from a single piece of star crystal. When he sat down, every screen on the bridge lit up with information about the human world, their cities, their armies, their simple technology. It would take his fleet maybe 1 hour to destroy everything they had ever built. "Show me their military again," he ordered. The screens changed to show images of human warships. They were ugly things made of metal and steel. Compared to the beauty of Zephyrian bioships, they looked like flying junk piles. The humans had maybe 300 ships total, and most of them were small patrol craft that could barely leave their home system. "Pathetic," Kethavar said. "How can such weak creatures be so stupid? Do they not understand what we offer them?" Veltar's crystals shifted to yellow, the color of uncertainty. "Perhaps they do not understand our power, Admiral. Their world is far from the core systems. They may not know what happened to the other species we have conquered." "Then we will teach them." Kethavar stood up from his throne. "Send word to all ship commanders. We will jump to the edge of their star system and show them our fleet. When they see 200 Zephyrian warships, even these foolish humans will understand." The bridge became busy with activity. Crystal beings moved between stations, their bodies glowing with different colors as they worked. The great engines of the flagship began to hum with power. Around them, the other ships in the fleet started to form up for the jump to faster-than-light speed. But before they could jump, another message came from Earth. "Admiral," called the communications officer, "the humans are sending something." "Another refusal?" Kethavar asked. "No, sir. They say they are sending their response." Kethavar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "What response? Are they sending their tiny fleet to fight us? All 300 of their metal boats?" The communications officer's crystals turned pale. "Sir, our long-range sensors are picking up something leaving Earth orbit. It appears to be a single ship." "One ship?" Kethavar could not believe what he was hearing. "They are sending one ship to face our entire fleet?" "Yes, Admiral. It is very large, but it is alone." Kethavar felt his anger turn to amazement. Even the most warlike species they had fought sent fleets to face them. The humans were sending one ship. Either they were completely insane, or they had a weapon so powerful that they thought one ship was enough. He had seen weapons like that before. Planet killers, star destroyers, weapons that could wipe out entire fleets with one shot. But the humans were too primitive to build such things. Their technology was thousands of years behind Zephyrian science. "Show me this ship," he ordered. The main screen filled with an image of the approaching human vessel. It was indeed large, maybe 3 kilometers long, but it looked like all human technology, ugly, brutal, and built for war rather than beauty. Its dark metal hull was covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays. It moved through space like a flying fortress, slow but determined. "It will take them 6 hours to reach us at their current speed," the sensor officer reported. Kethvar studied the human ship. He had conquered civilizations for 1,000 years, but he had never seen anything quite like this. Most species built their warships to look impressive, to show their power and culture. The humans had built something that looked like it existed, only to kill. "What kind of weapons does it carry?" he asked. "Unknown, Admiral. We can see many weapon ports, but we cannot identify the systems inside." "And its crew?" "Our sensors show approximately 800 life forms aboard." 800 humans coming to face 200 ships and over 50,000 Zephyrian warriors. Kethvar almost felt sorry for them. They were brave, he had to admit, stupid but brave. "Send a message to their ship," he ordered. "Tell them they have one chance to surrender. If they turn around now and return to their world, we will make their deaths quick when we conquer them." The communications officer sent the message and waited. A few minutes later, the reply came back. "Admiral," the human ship responds, "they say they are here to discuss terms." "Terms?" Kethvar's crystal body flared with red light. "What terms? They have nothing to bargain with. They are one ship against our entire fleet." But as he watched the human vessel approach, something cold settled in his chest. In all his years of conquest, he had learned to recognize when something was not as it seemed. The humans should be terrified. They should be begging for mercy. Instead, they came forward like they had every right to be here. Like they knew something he did not. The human ship continued its approach, steady and sure. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Kethvar felt something he had not experienced in centuries. He felt uncertain. Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USS Retribution and watched the alien fleet grow larger on his main screen. 200 crystal ships hung in space like deadly jewels, each one beautiful and terrible. He had seen the recordings from other worlds, the ones that had fallen to these creatures. Those worlds were ash now, their people slaves or worse. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations with calm focus. These were not the frightened soldiers other species had sent to face the Zephyrian collective. These were humans who had volunteered to fly into the heart of an alien fleet, knowing they might never come home. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez turned from her communication station. She was young, maybe 25, with steady hands and eyes that never showed fear. "Captain, we're receiving a message from the alien flagship." "Put it on speaker," Sullivan ordered. The voice that filled the bridge sounded like music made from breaking glass. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Collective. You will surrender immediately and return to your world. This is your only warning." Sullivan walked to the front of the bridge. Through the large viewing window, he could see the alien ships clearly now. They were massive, each one 3 times the size of his ship. Their crystal hulls caught the light from the nearby star and threw it back in rainbow patterns. Beautiful, but built for war. "Open a channel," he told Rodriguez. "Channel open, sir." Sullivan spoke clearly, his voice carrying the authority of a man who had commanded ships for 20 years. "Admiral Kethvar, this is Captain Jake Sullivan of the Earth Defense Corps vessel USS Retribution. We received your demand for our world's surrender. We're here to discuss your terms." On the alien flagship, Admiral Kethvar felt his crystal body shift to orange, the color of confusion. Commander Veltar floated beside him, his own crystals cycling through several colors as he tried to understand what he was hearing. "Did the human just say they want to discuss our terms?" Veltar asked. "That is what he said. Kethvar replied. He had expected screaming, begging, maybe threats, not this calm discussion of terms. What game are they playing? The human ship continued to approach at steady speed. Up close, it looked even more brutal than before. Where Zephyrian ships were grown from living crystal and shaped by artistic minds, this human vessel was built like a weapon. Every line, every angle seemed designed for one purpose only: war. Commander Lisa Park, the USS Retribution's tactical officer, checked her weapon systems one more time. The ship carried railguns that could fire metal slugs at incredible speed, nuclear missiles that could crack a moon, and kinetic barriers that could stop most energy weapons. But most importantly, it carried something the aliens had never seen before. "All systems ready, Captain," she reported. "The package is secure and ready for deployment." Chief Engineer Ben Carter's voice came over the internal communication system, from deep in the ship's engine room. "Fusion reactors running at full power, Captain. All backup systems are online. She's ready for whatever you need." Captain Sullivan nodded. The USS Retribution was the most advanced warship Earth had ever built, but it was not meant to fight 200 alien vessels alone. It had a different mission, one that required getting very close to the enemy fleet. "Rodriguez, send another message to the alien admiral," Sullivan ordered. "Ready, sir." "Admiral Kethvar, we request permission to come aboard your flagship. As representatives of Earth, we wish to negotiate the terms of engagement between our species." The message traveled across space to the Zephyrian flagship. "Was?" The Crystal Bridge Admiral Kethvar stared at his officers in complete amazement. In 10,000 years of conquest, no species had ever asked to board his ship. They came with weapons, or they came with surrender offers, but they never asked for meetings. "Is this some kind of trap?" Commander Veltar asked. If it is like no trap we have ever seen," Kethvar replied. "What could one ship do against our entire fleet, even if it was inside our vessel?" The tactical officer, a tall Zephyrian whose crystal body glowed with blue light, studied his sensors. "Admiral, the human ship shows no signs of weapons charging. Its shields are raised, but not at maximum power. It appears to be peaceful." Kethvar laughed, the sound echoing through the crystal chamber. "Peaceful? Look at that ship, Torvan. It is built for nothing but war. There is no peace in its design." But even as he said it, something bothered him about the human approach. Every other species they had conquered had followed predictable patterns. They either fought with everything they had or surrendered completely. The humans were doing neither. They were acting like they had every right to be here, like they were equals meeting for the first time. It was disturbing. "Admiral," the communications officer called out. "The human ship is requesting an answer to their boarding request." Kethvar considered his options. He could simply destroy the human ship now and end this strange game. His fleet had enough firepower to turn the ugly metal vessel into space dust in seconds. But curiosity was a powerful force, and he found himself wanting to see what these creatures were really planning. "Tell them they may come aboard," he decided. "But only 6 of them, and they will be scanned for weapons." "Admiral, is that wise?" Veltar asked. "What harm can 6 humans do aboard a ship with 5,000 Zephyrian warriors?" Kethvar replied. "If they try anything, we will kill them and then destroy their world as planned." The message was sent to the human ship. Captain Sullivan received it with a small smile. Everything was going according to plan so far. The aliens were curious, which was exactly what Earth's military planners had hoped for. "Rodriguez, acknowledge." "Their terms," he ordered. "Park Murphy, Williams Green, you're with me. Carter, you have the ship." "Aye, sir," came the engineer's voice. "We'll keep her ready for you." Commander Park stood up from her tactical station. She was a small woman, with dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. Like all the officers chosen for this mission, she had volunteered knowing the risks. "All personnel ready for boarding, Captain." Lieutenant Colonel Steve Murphy checked his sidearm one more time. He was a big man with scarred hands and the calm manner of someone who had seen combat many times. Major Kate Williams gathered her equipment, her movements quick and efficient. Dr. Tony Green, the mission's intelligence specialist, reviewed his tablet one final time. As the USS Retribution moved closer to the alien flagship, Captain Sullivan looked out at the crystal fleet surrounding them. 200 ships, each one capable of destroying cities. In a few minutes, he would be aboard the enemy's most powerful vessel, surrounded by creatures who wanted to enslave his world. But Jake Sullivan was not afraid. He had a job to do, and behind him stood not just his crew of 800, but the entire human race. The aliens thought they were meeting with desperate representatives of a weak world. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The shuttle bay of the Zephyrian flagship was like stepping into a cave made of diamonds. Captain Sullivan and his 5 officers walked down the ramp of their small transport craft, their boots clicking on the crystal floor. Hundreds of alien warriors surrounded them, their crystal bodies glowing with different colors as they watched the humans with curious eyes. Admiral Kethvar stood at the center of the bay, his massive form towering over the human visitors. He was 3 meters tall, made of living crystal that shifted from blue to purple as his emotions changed. Behind him stood dozens of his officers, all watching the humans like they were strange animals in a zoo. "I am Admiral Kethvar," the alien leader said, his voice echoing in the crystal chamber. "You are in the heart of the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Speak quickly, humans. What terms do you think you can offer?" Captain Sullivan stepped forward. He was not a tall man, maybe average height for a human, but he walked with the confidence of someone who had faced danger many times. His uniform was simple and practical, dark blue with silver rank marks. No decorations, no fancy designs, just the clothes of a working soldier. "I'm Captain Jake Sullivan," he said calmly. "These are my officers: Commander Lisa Park, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Murphy, Major Kate Williams, and Dr. Tony Green." He looked around the crystal throne room without any sign of fear or amazement. "Impressive ship, Admiral. Your people know how to build things that last." Kethvar felt his crystal shift to orange. The human was not acting like prisoners usually acted. Most species sent diplomats who trembled and begged. These humans looked like they were visiting friends. "You did not answer my question," Kethvar said, his voice growing harder. "What terms can your pathetic world possibly offer the Zephyrian collective?" Dr. Green stepped forward, pulling out a small tablet computer. "Actually, Admiral, we're not here to offer you terms. We're here to give you some information you might find interesting." The tablet projected a hologram into the air above the humans. The image showed a planet covered in green and blue, with white clouds swirling around it. Earth, but not as the Zephyrians had seen it in their intelligence reports. "This is our world," Green continued, "but not the way your scouts saw it when they studied us 3 years ago." The image changed, showing human cities. But these were not the primitive settlements the Zephyrians expected. These cities stretched for hundreds of miles, with buildings that reached toward the sky and transport systems that moved millions of people every day. Commander Veltar floated closer to the hologram. "This cannot be accurate. Our intelligence shows that human civilization is barely advanced enough for space travel." "Your intelligence saw what we wanted you to see," Commander Park said. Her voice was quiet but steady. "We've been watching. You, Admiral. We know what you did to the Altarians, the Centauri, all the others. We've been preparing." The hologram changed again, showing images that made the Zephyrian officers step back in shock. Human soldiers in powered armor, carrying weapons that could cut through crystal. Factories that built starships by the hundreds. Military bases hidden under mountains and beneath oceans. But the images that truly disturbed the aliens were the historical ones. Human wars throughout their history. Battles with millions of soldiers. Cities burning under atomic fire. Weapons that could destroy entire continents. "You see, Admiral," Captain Sullivan said, "every species you've conquered so far has been peaceful. They built their civilizations around art, science, exploration. Beautiful cultures, I'm sure." He paused, looking directly at Kethvar. Humanity took a different path. The hologram showed more images. Humans fighting each other with swords and spears, then guns and cannons, then missiles and energy weapons. War after war, each one more terrible than the last, until finally the humans had weapons that could end all life on their world. "We've been killing each other for 50,000 years, Dr. Green explained. We've gotten very good at it. We've learned every way there is to break things, to destroy things, to make things stop existing. Major Williams spoke for the first time since entering the ship. The wars on our world nearly ended us twice, once with nuclear weapons, once with engineered diseases. But we survived. We learned. And then we realized something important. What? Kethavar asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. We realized that all our fighting, all our weapons, all our skill at war could be turned towards something else, Williams replied, toward protecting our world from anyone who might threaten it. The hologram changed one more time. Now, it showed the human fleet, but not the small collection of ships the Zephyrians had seen in their intelligence reports. This fleet was massive. Thousands of ships ranging from small, fast destroyers to enormous carriers that could hold entire armies. This is our real fleet, Sullivan said. We didn't unite because we learned to love each other, Admiral. We united because we finally found something we all wanted to kill more than each other. The silence in the crystal throne room was complete. Every Zephyrian in the chamber stared at the holographic display showing ship after ship after ship. The humans had not sent diplomats to beg for their world's life. They had sent a warning. Commander Veltar's crystals had turned completely white, the color of fear. How many ships? He whispered. 3,247 combat vessels, Dr. Green replied, reading from his tablet. Plus, support ships, medical vessels, supply craft, and mobile repair stations. Every major nation on Earth contributed ships. Every corporation with space technology, every military branch. But your world showed no signs of such a fleet, Kethavar protested. Our scouts would have detected such a massive construction program. Lieutenant, Colonel Murphy smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Admiral, humans have been hiding things from each other for thousands of years. Hiding them from aliens was much easier. We built the ships in the outer system, Park explained, beyond your sensor range. We've been working on this project for 5 years, ever since we detected your first scout ships approaching our space. The hologram showed construction facilities built into asteroids, hidden shipyards powered by fusion reactors, entire fleets waiting in the cold darkness between stars. The humans had not been sitting helplessly while the Zephyrians planned their conquest. They had been preparing for war. Every ship you see represents a different part of our world, Sullivan continued. We couldn't agree on what color to paint. Them couldn't agree on uniform designs, couldn't even agree on what to call the overall fleet. But we all agreed on one thing. What? Kethavar asked. Sullivan's eyes were as cold as space itself. Nobody conquers Earth. The captain activated his own communicator. USS Retribution, this is Sullivan, send the signal. From somewhere in the crystal ship's communication systems came the sound of human voices, speaking in dozens of different languages, but all saying the same thing. It was a message being broadcast on every frequency, reaching out across the star system to receivers that had been waiting for this moment. Admiral Kethavar watched his tactical displays light up like a festival. Ship after ship was appearing at the edge of the system, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Human vessels, each one broadcasting active targeting systems pointed directly at his fleet. You wanted our surrender, Captain, Sullivan said quietly. Instead, you get our answer. Earth doesn't negotiate with conquerors, Admiral. We end them. The tactical display on the Zephyrian flagship showed a nightmare. Red dots appeared everywhere around Admiral Kethavar's fleet, each one representing a human warship that had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The dots kept coming, filling the display until it looked like the Zephyrian fleet was surrounded by angry stars. Commander Veltar's crystal body had turned completely white with fear. Admiral, we count over 3,000 human vessels. They have us completely surrounded. Kethavar stared at the display, his own crystals shifting through colors so fast they looked like a rainbow. In 10,000 years of conquest, the Zephyrian collective had never faced odds like this. His 200 ships suddenly looked very small and very alone. This is impossible, he whispered. No species could hide a fleet this large. Our intelligence networks span the entire galaxy. Captain Sullivan stood calmly in the center of the crystal throne room, watching the alien admiral's growing panic. "Admiral, let me introduce you to some of my colleagues." The communication system crackled to life and new voices filled the chamber. Each voice was human, but they came from different ships scattered around the alien fleet. Zephyrian vessels. "This is Admiral Rachel Stone commanding the Earth Defense Force Dreadnought Vengeance. You are surrounded and outgunned. We strongly suggest you listen to what Captain Sullivan has to say." Another voice joined in. "This is Captain Danny Cole of the corporate vessel New York's Fury. Admiral Kethvar, we've studied your tactics from the 12 worlds you conquered. Your ships are beautiful, but crystal shatters when you hit it hard enough." A third voice, older and colder than the others. Captain Bill Hayes, commanding the military transport Chicago's Pride. "Admiral, my ship is carrying 10,000 human Marines. They're all volunteers, and they're all very eager to see the inside of your crystal ships." More voices joined the conversation. Ship captains from every nation on Earth, corporate leaders who had turned their factories into weapons of war, military, officers who had spent their entire careers preparing for this moment. Each voice carried the same message: humanity was not afraid. Dr. Green pulled up another hologram on his tablet. This one showed detailed scans of Zephyrian ships, with weak points marked in red and weapon systems highlighted in yellow. "We've been studying you too, Admiral," Green said. "Every battle you've fought, every tactic you've used, every weakness your enemies found before you destroyed them. We know exactly how to kill your ships." The hologram zoomed in on the crystal hull of a Zephyrian vessel. "Your ships are grown, not built. Living crystal is strong, but it has a weakness. Hit it with enough kinetic energy and it cracks along natural fault lines." Commander Park stepped forward. "Our weapons don't use energy, Admiral. We use mass. Solid projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. Your energy shields won't stop them." Lieutenant Colonel Murphy added his voice to the explanation. "We also know about your boarding tactics. Crystal warriors are strong and fast, but they need to get close to be effective. Human weapons work very well at long range." Admiral Kethvar felt something he had not experienced in centuries. Fear. Real cold fear that started in his crystal core and spread through his entire body. The humans were not just showing him their fleet. They were showing him exactly how they planned to destroy his. "Your crystal bodies are beautiful," Major Williams said, her voice carrying the tone of someone who had studied war for many years. "But crystal conduct electricity very well. One electromagnetic pulse weapon and your entire crew becomes a lighting storm." The communication system crackled again, and more human voices joined the conversation. "Admiral Kethvar, this is Captain Sarah Mitchell of the science vessel Boston's Hope. My ship carries atmospheric processors. If you try to retreat to any planet, we can make the air unbreathable for your species in about 6 hours. Captain, Rick Thompson here, commanding the heavy cruiser Denver's Wrath. Admiral, we've got nuclear weapons that can crack moons. Your flagship is big, but it's not moon-sized. This is Commander Janet Foster of the stealth destroyer Miami's Shadow. You can't see my ship on your sensors, but I can see you just fine. So can the 50 other stealth ships hiding in your formation." Each new voice made the situation clearer. The humans had not just built a big fleet, they had built a fleet specifically designed to fight Zephyrians. Every ship had weapons chosen to exploit crystal biology. Every tactic was designed to counter Zephyrian advantages. Kethvar turned to his tactical officer. "How did we miss this? How did our intelligence fail so completely?" Torvan's blue crystal body was dim with shame. "Admiral, the humans have been broadcasting false information for years. Every signal we intercepted was fake. Every scout ship that approached their system saw exactly what they wanted us to see." "They've been lying to us?" Captain Sullivan overheard the question. "Not lying, Admiral. Strategic deception. It's one of the oldest human military tactics. Make your enemy think you're weak while you prepare to be strong." Dr. Green showed another hologram. This one displayed human history, but not the wars they had shown before. This showed human intelligence operations. Spies who had fooled entire governments. Military deceptions that had changed the course of battles. Scientists who had hidden weapon programs for decades. Humans have been keeping secrets from each other for thousands of years, Green explained. We're very good at it. Keeping secrets from aliens was much easier than keeping them from other humans. The hologram showed the construction of the human fleet in detail. Ships built inside asteroids where no sensors could detect them. Weapons testing done in the empty space between stars. Entire factories hidden on the dark side of moons. We've been watching you since your first scout ship entered our star system 5 years ago, Sullivan continued. We knew you were coming. We knew what you did to other worlds. We had time to prepare. Admiral Kethvar looked at his tactical display again. The red dots representing human ships had formed perfect battle formations around his fleet. Every Zephyrian vessel was targeted by at least 10 human ships. Some of his larger vessels faced 20 or 30 targeting systems. This is not how conquest is supposed to work, he said quietly. No, it's not, Sullivan agreed. Every other species you fought tried to meet you on equal terms. Ship against ship, warrior against warrior. We decided to fight you the human way. Which is? Overwhelming. Force applied at the moment of our choosing. Commander Park answered. We don't fight fair, Admiral. We fight to win. The communication system activated one more time. This voice belonged to a woman, and it carried the authority of someone used to command. Zephyrian Fleet, this is Fleet Admiral Linda Carter, overall, commander of Earth's combined military forces. Admiral Kethvar, you have 2 choices. The first choice is simple. Withdraw your fleet from human space immediately, and never return. We'll even let you keep the worlds you've already conquered. Earth has no interest in ruling other species. Kethvar's crystals turned gray, the color of defeat. And the second choice? We demonstrate why Earth didn't send diplomats to meet your fleet. Admiral Carter's voice was as cold as the space between stars. We sent warships because that's what humans do when someone threatens to destroy everything we care about. We break the thing that threatens us, and we don't stop until it can never threaten anyone again. Around the Zephyrian fleet, thousands of human weapon systems finished their targeting sequences. The message was clear: surrender or die. Admiral Kethvar stood in his crystal throne room, staring at the tactical display that showed his doom. 3,000 human ships surrounded his fleet like wolves around cornered prey. Each red dot on the screen represented weapons pointed at his people, weapons designed specifically to shatter crystal and end Zephyrian lives. For the first time in 1,000 years of conquest, he felt helpless. Admiral? Commander Veltar whispered, his crystal body pale with fear. What are your orders? Kethvar looked at the human delegation standing calmly in the center of his bridge. Captain Sullivan and his officers showed no signs of stress or worry. They stood like people who had already won, waiting patiently for their enemy to understand the situation. How long have you been planning this? Kethvar asked. Dr. Green checked his tablet. The official project started 5 years ago, when our deep space sensors detected your scout ships. But humans have been preparing for something like this for much longer. How much longer? About 50,000 years, Captain Sullivan replied. Every war we ever fought taught us something new about killing. Every weapon we ever built made us better at destroying our enemies. We just never had enemies from space before. The communication system crackled, and Fleet Admiral Carter's voice filled the throne room again. Admiral Kethvar, you have 60 seconds to make your choice. Withdraw or be destroyed. Kethvar felt his crystal body shift through colors of anger, fear, and finally resignation. He had conquered 12 star systems in 3 months. His fleet was the pride of the Zephyrian collective. But against 3,000 human warships, he might as well be commanding pleasure craft. Admiral, his tactical officer called out, several human ships are powering up weapon systems. Energy readings are unlike anything in our database. Show me, Kethvar ordered. The main display changed to show a close view of one human ship. It was smaller than most Zephyrian vessels, but weapons ports along its hull were glowing with deadly light. The energy readings were not like Zephyrian plasma weapons or particle beams. These were something entirely different. Kinetic weapons, Commander Park explained, seeing the alien admiral's confusion. We accelerate small pieces of metal to incredible speeds. When they hit your crystal hulls, the kinetic energy transfer will shatter your ships like glass hitting a hammer. Lieutenant Colonel Murphy added, "We also have nuclear weapons, electromagnetic pulse generators, and something we call fusion bombs. Each one can destroy a ship your size completely." Major Williams pulled out a small device that looked like a simple radio. "This is a detonation controller for mines we placed around your fleet while you were watching our ships arrive. You've been sitting in a minefield for the last 20 minutes. Admiral Kethvar's crystals flared bright red with shock. "Impossible. Our sensors would have detected mines." "Not these mines," Williams replied with a cold smile. "They're made from materials that don't exist naturally. Artificial elements that your sensors can't recognize because your species never invented them." Dr. Green showed another hologram. This one displayed the periodic table of elements, with several sections highlighted in red. "Humans have been creating new forms of matter for over a century. We use them to build weapons that work in ways your science can't predict." The 60 seconds Fleet Admiral Carter had given them were almost up. Kethvar could hear the countdown in his head, marking the moments until the human fleet would open fire. He looked around his crystal bridge at officers who had served with him for decades. Warriors who had conquered worlds and enslaved entire species. Now they all looked to him for a decision that would determine whether they lived or died. "Admiral Carter," he said, activating the communication system, "the Zephyrian Collective accepts your terms. We will withdraw from this system immediately. All Zephyrian ships, this is Fleet Admiral Carter. You have 10 minutes to begin your retreat. Any ship that remains in this system after that time will be destroyed." The bridge of the alien flagship became busy with activity as Zephyrian officers began preparing their fleet for departure. But Admiral Kethvar remained focused on the human delegation. "This is not over," he said quietly. "The collective has other fleets, other admirals. We will return with more ships." Captain Sullivan shook his head. "No, Admiral, you won't." "What makes you so certain?" Dr. Green activated his tablet one more time. The hologram that appeared showed the galaxy itself, with dots of light marking different star systems. Many of the dots were red, showing worlds the Zephyrians had conquered, but now new dots were appearing, blue ones that hadn't been there before. "While your fleet was traveling here, we sent messages to every world you've conquered," Green explained. "We told them about human weapons, human tactics, human willingness to fight. We offered them a choice." The hologram zoomed in on specific systems. "The Altarians have declared independence from the collective. So have the Centauri and the people of Sigma Draconis. They're using weapons we gave them, tactics we taught them. Your empire is falling apart while you sit here," Sullivan added. "Every world you conquered is rising up at the same time. Your other fleets are too busy fighting rebellions to come help you." Admiral Kethvar stared at the display in horror. The Zephyrian Collective had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. The idea that their slaves could rebel successfully was unthinkable. "Humans don't just fight for themselves," Major Williams explained. "We fight for anyone who wants to be free. We've sent weapons and advisors to every world you've conquered. They're not slaves anymore, Admiral. They're allies." The communication system activated again, but this time the voices were not human. They spoke in different languages, came from different species, but they all carried the same message of defiance. "This is the Altarian Defense Force. The Zephyrian Collective is no longer welcome in our space. Centauri command to all Zephyrian vessels. Leave our system or be destroyed. The warriors of Sigma Draconis stand with Earth. Crystal ships die, just as easily as any others." Admiral Kethvar felt his legs give out. He collapsed into his crystal throne as the voices of his former slaves filled his bridge. The galaxy that had bowed before the collective for millennia was now united against them. "How?" he whispered. "Humans are good at one thing above all others," Captain Sullivan replied. "We're good at inspiring other people to fight for their freedom. We've been doing it on our own world for thousands of years." The human delegation began walking toward the shuttle bay. Their mission was complete. They had delivered their message and proven their point. Earth would not surrender, and now the galaxy knew it. "Admiral Kethvar," Sullivan said as they reached the exit. Take this message back to your leaders. Earth doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to make sure nobody else rules it either. Stay away from free worlds, and we'll stay away from you. As the human shuttle departed from the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar watched his tactical display. The human fleet was already disappearing, jumping to faster-than-light speed as quickly as they had arrived. But their message would echo across the galaxy for years to come. The age of easy conquest was over. The humans had seen to that. In the depths of space, the USS Retribution and her escort ships headed home. They had not fired a single shot, but they had won the most important victory in human history. Earth was safe, and the galaxy was free. Captain Sullivan stood on his bridge watching the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, other species were learning that freedom was worth fighting for. The humans had shown them how. It was enough.